Hi, I'm Whitney Jump, and thank you for joining the Dynamics Care AX webinar. I'd like to introduce Murray Fife, AX Solutions Architect and Microsoft MVP. Today he'll be talking about managing your field service through Dynamics AX Service Management.
Welcome everybody and good morning. Today, as Whitney said, we're going to look at one of the modules within Dynamics AX 2012, which is the Service Management module. And this is a great module that you can use to track service orders, maintenance tasks, jobs, track service technicians, and also track costs, and then invoice customers and create invoice proposals, and then really manage all of the field service and the service technicians. Now, we're going to go through this presentation today and move through really all of the different areas that we have within the service management module. So for example, today I'm going to show you how you can start off and use, for example, the service orders to create jobs and assign tasks to technicians. I'm going to show you how you can schedule the technicians through the dispatching service or the dispatching board that's built into Dynamics AX. Also, I'll expand out a little bit and show you how you can use service agreements. And service agreements are more of a contract with a customer that will go out and create service orders for you and periodically distribute out the service orders. Now, other features that we'll quickly talk about will be the service objects, so you can go out and you can track all of the items and the equipment that is out on maybe on the shop floor or at the customer site by serial number, so that you can track which ones are maybe failing more often. And also I'll show you the repair operations. This is where you can go out and you can track the root cause of why service orders are being placed and what the causes were and also what the resolutions are. And then finally I'll show you the service subscriptions or the subscription fees that are built into Dynamics AX. This is for recurring invoicing that you have for a customer where maybe they sign up for a year-long subscription for a service and then as a retainer, and then you're just going to go out and invoice those customers and make sure that everything flows through to the receivables department and you get your cash in. So these are all of the areas that I'm going to look at today. And hopefully some of this will be interesting and it'll give you a little bit more insight into the service management module. Now, rather than running through the PowerPoints, we're actually going to go into Dynamics AX now and look at the service management module. And for one thing to remember, you have service management already within the system. So like as with any module within Dynamics AX, then service management is just sitting there and waiting for you to take advantage of it. So I'm here within the service management area page, and we'll see all of the areas or all of the items that we're going to be looking at. So for example, I've got my service orders here that we'll look at in a second. I have service agreements, my subscriptions, and then also my repair and service items here that we're going to be looking at and showing how you can additionally configure the system. But to start off, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the service orders and see the service orders that we've got out here. Now, going into service management and into the service orders, what we're going to see is we're going to see all of the orders that have been placed, all of the jobs that have been created, and we'll see that they're associated with customers and they have different statuses associated with them. And all of these are maybe in process, or they've been approved, or maybe they've been dispatched out. And we could go out and we can look at these and we can see that some of these have been completed. If I just wanted to go out and create a service order, then I just tell it that I want a new service order. And now I can go out and just create a ad hoc service order. Now, so this could be a kit maintenance that's been requested. And one area here within service management is all of the service management objects are layered on top of the project accounting module. Now, you don't need to use the full project accounting or project management, but this is the way that you go out and you specify what area are we going to be using, what costs are we going to be using, and also it's a way that you can sort of sidestep the requirement of having to have a separate subsystem for invoicing, because Projects does all of that for you so well. And what I've got here is I've got all of my different projects or my service projects. I can have service projects here for particular people or just for types of projects that I'm performing. Now you can see here that I've got some installations, I've got some maintenance for particular customers, and if I just choose one of these, then it's going to automatically pop in a customer for me. Now I set this one up since this is a miscellaneous sort of maintenance project. I said that I'm going to use a miscellaneous customer, but if we know who the customer is, then we can just go and select that customer. We can also go out and choose any contacts that we have against the customer account as well, just for reference. So if, for example, you're just a call center capturing service order requests, then you can record all of this information here. Now, also what I can do here is I can go out and I can start assigning tasks to this. So I could say that I want the calling up for maintenance, and I know that I want this service technician to perform the work, and it's going to be an 8-hour job. And then I can specify what type of category is this. And this is how you can maintain chargeable and non-chargeable items initially. All I'm doing here is I'm just building up the standard tasks. Now when we go and look at the service agreements, then this becomes a lot simpler, because what you do is you set up almost like a template that you use for the service order. And I also have the sales price popping in here, but if this is non-chargeable, then the sales price would come through as 0. Now, once I've got my service order, I can go out and dispatch it. Now, what this is going to do is this is going to allow me to approve my service order. So I've got my stages here, and I've created or requested the service order, and now I can just approve it, or I can cancel it if I want to. So this can go through an approval process, and it hasn't gone out to all of the dispatching board and to the technicians at this point until I tell it that I want to approve it. Now these stages can have multiple levels. You can go through different steps within your service order. For example, you could have an approved status, and then you could have a dispatch status, and then you could have in process, so that you can always track what's going on with the task. Now, I'm going to close this down briefly, because now we have a service order out here for my maintenance, and we can see this in the approved stage. There's something else that I want to quickly pop up here, and that is the service order portal. So as you'll know, there are a number of different web portals that are available within Dynamics AX, and one of them is this, which is the service management or the service orders. This is a great way that technicians can go out and they can access all of the information. They can see all of the service orders that are out there. It's going to be a live link, so we're going to see all of the service orders that are in process or that have been approved. And also we're going to be able to go out and maintain these. If I wanted to add tasks to this or record transactions directly here from the website, then I can do it just by clicking on it, finding my service order, and remember this would be filtered based on the service technician as well. And you can go out and you can edit the service order, add additional lines, put in material requirements if you want, all here through the service portal. One other item here that you can do is you can create service orders. So based on who you are and how you deploy this out, you can allow customers to create service orders for themselves, and when you go through the service order wizard, then it's going to ask you what agreement are you on, what project are you going to be using based on the data security, and also it allows the user to go out, or the customer to go out and say that I want the technician to come at a certain time. It doesn't mean that you need to approve that or that they necessarily come at that time, but that's when the customer's available. And you can do all of that here through the service management portal. Now, also what you can do is the customer, of course, can come out and they can look at their invoices and their service subscriptions. So everything that you have within the larger screen can be accessed here through the web portal, and it's a great tool for you to use. Now, if I return back here to my service management, I'll talk about one other quick thing, that we've got our service orders, but if, for example, someone places a request through the web or through the service portal, then those service orders show up here separately so that you can go and you can work through them, and you know which service orders have been placed by the traditional means internally, and also the ones that have come in through the customer, through the service management portal, so that you have a little bit of a distinction, and also you can track all of these service orders that are here. So what I've done is I've shown you a couple of things up until this point, and we've really just gone out and created a service order. And I've got my service order that I've created, I've assigned a worker to it. Now, if I wanted to assign some products to this, maybe I need to repair some items, then also I can go out and I can add an item to this. I can assign a worker, and then this is going to be a service item. Then I can go out and choose that item here. And maybe I need to replace one of the corks, and that was $10. And then for my product, I also need to close this down. Say where I'm going to grab it from, although you all would probably have this automatically defaulting in. And now I'm going to go out and I'm going to bill the hours and the items. I can also go out and I can change the time that I want to bill. So even though this was an estimate, maybe I just took 2 hours for the service labor, so that's all we want to bill the customer for. So I've gone out and I've recorded my task. I've done it either through the web portal or here through the client. The next step is that I want to sign off on the items. So what this does is this says I'm approving this line, and I want to go out and I want to create the start the billing process for this. Now I can do this two ways. I can look at the line details that we've got here. Let me just expand this up a little bit. And I can sign off the individual lines. And this could go through an approval process, and certain people could sign off certain line items. Or what I can do is I can tell the system that I want to sign off on all of the lines, so I want to bill all of this information. Now, so all I've done is I've just approved this, and now we can continue on and do things with it. So now that I've gone out and signed this off, I can post my service order, and I can post the hours, expenses, any fees that were associated with this, and then just push it through. And once I've done that, then the status will change, and also I'll be able to see all the item transactions that are associated with it. And then I can go out and create an invoice proposal. So this is going to go out and create the invoice that I'm going to send out to the customer. And now you can see that I've got all of my laborers broken out with line items, and also all of my service items that I use have also been added to this invoice proposal, and I can go in and I can modify these. So I could remove lines that I don't want to invoice at the time, or also I can add lines if I want to as well. So once I've got this, I can go out and I can create the preview for this. or I can just go out and post this. And now it's going to go out and run through. I'm going to create my invoice. I'm going to post it to the screen, and it's going to go out and create the invoice for me, along with all of the line detail. And if you have the print management configured to automatically email this document, then this is going to be sent out to the customer through email or automatically faxed out, all here through the service management module. So I've gone through really quickly and just created a service order and then did some work against it, recorded it, invoiced it, and now it's in the receivables department and they can just wait for the cash to come in. So now that I've got my service orders, I'm going to show some of the other items that we've got. Because as we create the service orders, then maybe we want to schedule those service orders so that they can be performed by certain technicians. Now, the way that we do this is through the dispatch board. And this dispatch board allows us to go out and look at a certain time period. And then it's going to show us all of the work that we have to perform and that's being dispatched out to the individual service technicians. Each one of these are service technicians within HR. And if I scroll over a little bit to my dates, then I can see I have all of these work orders showing up here in the Gantt chart. But also I've got all of the work orders that are currently active showing up here in the detail. I can also see work orders that haven't been dispatched yet, and also see the items that have been dispatched and also where they're going, who the service technician is, and then also what the service order was. The good thing about this is if I have a service order and I need to rearrange it, maybe I need to push this out to the afternoon and assign it to another service technician, then all I need to do is just perform a drag and drop and update it. Also, if I want to change some of the work lines here associated with it, then I can make the adjustments and say what the work should be or what the actual work is, so that it's going to show up here in the Gantt chart as well. There's also all of these technicians that we create are managed through dispatch teams, which you configure within the HR module. So all this is you go out and create a team, and then you look at all of the workers and you say, which workers do I want to assign to this? And this is a great way that you can have multiple groups of technicians working maybe in different regions, and then you can see exactly what they need to do and what tasks have been assigned to them, readjust the work and readjust the tasks through just a simple screen. Also, if I want to, I can change this time unit. So I'm looking at this in hours, but maybe if I want to look at this broken out by week, then I can expand this out and I can see the different tasks that are broken out by the week. Or I could go out and I could look at this by day and see the tasks in here. Or I could go out and get down to a lower level, even to the minutes, depending on the type of work order that you're performing. Now, if a service order has multiple activities associated with it that different people need to perform, then they're all going to show up here within the dispatch board. And this is also where you can go out and just make adjustments and tweak it, as I mentioned before. All of the changes that we perform here can then be saved. And what that's going to do is it's going to update all of the service orders that we've got in the system with the right times and with the right durations, and also assign them to the different technicians. So I'm going to close that. And just to look at one other item, if we return back here to our service orders, then by default we can go out and we can assign different service technicians for the service orders. We can have these default in, and then we could have service managers associated with this, and also the individual workers assigned to this as well. So I've gone out and done a little bit of the work, but all of this has really been ad hoc. It's been I've gone out and created a service order and managed it. A better way to handle service orders or recurring service orders is through what's called a service agreement. Now, a service agreement's a little bit different because what it is if you have certain tasks that you want to perform on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, or maybe you have inspections that you need to perform every 3 months or annually, then you can go out and you can tell the system that I want to create an agreement, and then you can schedule tasks and you can create a template that's going to be used over and over and over again to create the service orders for you. And this looks a lot like a service order because, as you can see, I've got my monthly inspections that I'm performing, I've got my contact here, I've got a service level agreement that I've defined in the system. So, for example, I want this to be performed within 7 days, or maybe I want a 4-hour window that this needs to be performed in for emergency service orders. And then I can also have different groups of service orders, so I can have maintenance service orders or service agreements, I can have inspections, and this allows me to get a lot more detail and a lot more granular when I go out and perform reporting. Also, I can have a start date and an end date associated with this. So if I have a contract with the customer and it's only for 1 year, then by restricting the effectivity dates of the service agreements, it's not going to go out and create service orders or anything else like that here within the system. Now, also with the initial service order that I created, I went out and I had to specify what the tasks were. Here I've gone out and said for all of the inspections, then I've got an inspection process, and then also I have a cleaning and some labour that can be associated with it. Against a service agreement and also a service order, you can specify the different tasks that can be performed. So if you don't want a repair or replacement item or to be associated with this, or maybe this is just a visit and an inspection, then you can go out and specify that these are the only tasks that I want to perform. Now I can go out and create additional tasks here and then allow these to be performed against the service order, but what you're doing is just restricting it here within the system. Also, for this item, I have created a service interval, and I mentioned this earlier on. What this allows you to do is says how often do I want this automatically to be created. And I've got different intervals here, so I've got weekly or daily tasks that I need to perform, or I could make this quarterly or annually generated within the system for annual inspections. Now this is going to be useful in a second when I go out and tell the system to create service orders, because it's going to look at how often do I want these to be recurring, and it's going to create them for me. And if, for example, I want to specify some standard replacement items as a template, where you expect that when you go and perform maintenance that you're always going to replace this item or a hose or replace certain elements, and you can specify them here within the journals as the item journals to save the technician from going out and having to find those transactions. Now, once we have our service order, or our service agreement, we can just tell the system that I want to go out and create my service order directly from here. So I could tell the system that I want to create the planned service orders, and it's going to say from what date to what date do we want to create these orders, and also what transactions do we want to create. So I could go out and I could extend this out, and I'm just going to automatically create any service orders that are associated with the system between this date range. This then allows me to plan the orders and pop them into the dispatch board that I had. Now that I've ran this, if I return back to my service orders, then it's gone out and created a service order for me in the requested state, and it's using my service agreement or my project that I had here within the system. And it's gone out and created the individual line here. I didn't have the other two lines set up as a recurring line, so in this case it's just scheduled my inspection for me, and it's assigned a date to it. If I went out and dispatched this, went to the next stage, approved it, closed it, I can, as a service manager, go to the dispatch board, and I think that may have been already dispatched. It may not be showing. I think it's because it was too far out in the future, it's not showing up here, but it will change here. So if I went out, changed my timescale unit, and that was going out into August. If I scroll all the way along, then this is the service order that we just created, which was the monthly inspection item, which should be in the undispatched board. So this inspection was automatically created from the service agreement. So once you set these up, you don't have to do anything from that point on, because all you do is say, generate the service orders and then dispatch them out. And once you create all these service agreements, then you've got really not a lot that you need to perform from that point. Now, if you of course, you're not going to be doing this manually, like I did from the individual service order. What you're really going to do is you're going to go out and generate the service orders directly from here and create them for a certain time period. And it's going to go out and look at all of the service agreements and manage that for you. Now, before I pop out and show just one or two other things, we'll also just show you that here within the project management, as we're going out and as we're assigning costs to the service order, then they're all being managed back here within the different projects that I've got. Why this is important is that I can go out and I can generate project statements where I'm tracking all of the costs that's associated with it, what my margin is on all of my service orders, based off the cost of the service technicians. And also I can go out and I can export this out to Excel and create project statements that allow me to slice and dice the information to find out really where I'm losing money or gaining the most money within the system. Is it based off my technicians? Is it my hourly rate? Is it too much non-chargeable time that's being associated with these projects or with these service orders? So if I return back here to the service management, then all of that information is being captured along the way. Now, some other items that you can manage here within the service management are service objects. And if, for example, you've got a service order or a service agreement where you're going out and looking at certain pieces of equipment, then you can relate the service order to an object or to an item. And in this case, we've got a service object, which is just a kit that we have here within the system. And if you serialize all of your items, or if you want to track all the individual items this way, then you can actually have the reference number here within the service objects. This also gives you a number of options, because what you can do is you can track repairs against the product. Now, if you use this for internal maintenance, or if you use it for tracking products out in the field, then against any of these service orders I can create repair lines. And as I'm capturing the service order, then the customer could be saying, well, there's a clogging issue, and then we think it's in the piping, and it's probably a clogged pipe. So now all of these conditions, if I look at them, you can go out and create a number of different conditions to really analyze the different areas where customers would complain or maybe suspect that there's a problem. And also, if you have for each of the areas or the symptoms that the customer's reporting, then you can have codes associated with those symptoms so that you can get down to a more granular sort of view as to what people are complaining about or what areas maybe you need to address for a continuous improvement project. And then after the technician goes out and performs the task, then maybe they'll go out and they'll look at the area for where the actual problem was, because it may not be where the customer is reporting it. But in this case, it's the piping, and then they can do their own diagnostics. So it was a worn pipe, and then what did they do? They replaced it. And then also I can go out and I can have different repair stages. So for example, if they go out and they report that the pipe's faulty, it needs to be replaced, but they don't have the pipe there with them, then they're just going to change the repair stage to report it, and then another technician can go out and replace that pipe. And we're recording all of this information here within the system. Also, I can place notes here, so I can have the technician record additional information against the service order line and put in their own personal comments that maybe they have against this repair item. Now, with this item here, also because I have the service items set up, then these repair items can, or in this case, need to be reported against a service object. So this is where I can report off that it was a certain kit that was delivered out, or a certain type of product, or a certain serial number, again giving us more reporting along the way. So the service objects and then the repair lines are a great way for just to track additional information and track what the technicians are doing, and then it gives you, from a management standpoint, a lot of analysis. Now I'm going to talk about one more item here, and that's the service subscriptions. And the service subscriptions allow you to really create fee schedules for a customer. So if I look at my service subscription that I've got here, then if I edit this, then in this case what I'm doing is I'm going to charge the customer that's associated with this $500 a month, and I can have whatever period code that I want here within the system as well. So this could be monthly, annually, and so forth within the system. And this is what this allows me to do, is it allows me to have the system automatically create fees for me. If I want to go out and look at the fees that have been created, then I can just run a report. Let me go into here. Let's see if that works now. So you can run a report on the fee transactions, and this is a better place to go. And we can see all of the fees that have been assigned and what the dates were associated with them, and also when they were assigned or what date range they apply to. Now these fees that we have here in the system can also have different accrual dates. So for example, as you set up your fees, for example with this subscription category, if I go into here, then I can accrue this, and I can have it going to different revenue accounts and different cost accounts. And also I can say, when do I want to recognize the revenue? Do I want to recognize the revenue on a monthly basis but invoice the customer the fee on an annual basis? Or do I want to recognize the revenue right away. There's a lot of different ways that you can sort of slice and dice this fee information. But if I wanted to go out and tell the system that I want to create some more subscription fees, then all I need to do is have my subscriptions set up, assign them to a customer or assign them to a project, and then tell the system that I want to generate the fees, and it will create all of the transactions for me. And then once I've gone out and created these, then I can go out and I can look at the invoices. I can have those popping through directly into the receivables department so that I can start invoicing them or creating the invoice proposals, and then also go out and create or receive cash against those fees as well. So the subscriptions allow you to handle all of these transactions that aren't necessarily related to a service technicians, that you're charging your customers, or you're allowing them, they're placing yourself on a retainer with that customer, and it's always going to go out and create the invoice transactions and create all of the fees. So today I've gone through a lot of the service management. There's a lot of other smaller nuances here within the system that we can look at some other time, but I've followed through really all of the important areas, the service orders and the agreements and the subscriptions, and how you manage some of these transactions within Dynamics AX.